أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. We continue with our topic or our series of this class, mashallah. And today it is the social awareness. Social awareness. Social awareness is part of emotional intelligence we talked about before. And there are four components. The four components are self-awareness, okay, and then self-development, which comes as a result or as a second step to the first step, which is social awareness. You are self-aware. We discussed that as observing your behavior, your patterns, your feelings. You observe that. You're just observing it. And it's like, consider it making an inventory of yourself, you know, your feelings, your emotions, your behavior, your actions, your interactions, your reactions. You're just making an inventory, like saying, this is what happens, this is what I do, this is who I am, like that. Then personal development that comes after that. So now you have an inventory. What are you going to do with it? You have an inventory, you have a list. What are you going to do with it? This one goes there, this one goes there, and this one goes there. How I get this one and how I get that one and how I use this and how I use that. Okay, so I wake up early every day. What am I going to do with that? Do I repeat the same routine every day, or do I change my routine? And it is an ongoing process, modification and evaluation and all of that. So that's self-development. Once a person is self-developed, self-aware and self-developed, and self-awareness doesn't finish, and self-development doesn't finish. As I said, they are both ongoing. But you start somewhere in the self-awareness until you are aware enough, then you start developing. And they go hand in hand. You do not finish like self-awareness for 2 years and then self-development for 2 years. In general, that might be the case, but I'm aware of my eating habits. Then I am developing myself in the eating habits. I'm aware of my studying habits. Yeah. So you take one at a time. So you are self-aware and then self-develop. But in general, self-development comes after the self-awareness. But it's not like self-awareness is a stage of life separate from everything, and self-development is a stage of life separate from everything. That's not right. So they both go hand in hand. So just to take the confusion away. And then once you are like that, then you become aware of your social surroundings. You see how you do things, like with others. That was part also of self-awareness. But you were talking about yourself now. So you're observing yourself in relation to others. Now you're going to observe others in relation to you. Okay? You're going to observe others, what others do. Observe others now. I'm observing how my father is doing, how my mother is doing, how my spouse is doing, what my children are doing. Like, you know, whenever I see them, that's how they do things. Whenever I raise my voice, then how that's how their action is. Whenever I say hi to people, that's how they look at me. Whenever I go to the gym, this is what happens. So you kind of aware of your surroundings. You know, they say be alert, be vigilant. That is social awareness. You know, when they say social distance, you have your intimate space, which is like, I think, 0 to 1 foot or something like that. That's called intimate space. And then you have personal space, which is 1 to 3, foot, or yeah. And then you have social space, um, you know, out. And then you have, like, I think it's called community space or something. I don't remember exactly, but I sent that once to you, like has circles in it. So that's why they say, when they say social distance, means everybody has to be on that social distance where social space is. You allow people, if they come extra, they are in your personal space now. So you are violating my personal space. And not everybody in your personal space and your intimate space. You hug and kiss and touch and all that. That's different. So when you allow people in your intimate space is not necessarily sexual, but intimate space is like where people that they're intimate, they're close to you, they can touch you. They can be like their body touching your body. That's an intimate space. Not everybody in the personal space becomes an intimate space. But for sure, everybody in intimate space can go to outside, they are within your personal space. They are within the social space. So intimate space is like they are within all other spaces. But personal space not necessarily can jump into the intimate space except if you allow them. And social space, not necessarily they can become in personal space unless you allow them. That's why even in self-defense, if you see somebody like within 3 feet from you, that's why they say 3 to 6 feet is the social space, social distance. So if anybody, like you do not want them within 3 feet from you, you put your hand like this, it says, please stay there. If you are carrying and they violate that, you can shoot them. That's in Texas, yeah. So that's basically, I'm going extreme, but I'm just telling you, like if you feel an imminent threat and you tell somebody, please stay there, remain where you are in the social space, and they come into your personal space and you shoot them, you're not going to be indicted for that. You are defending yourself. And that's where all these police issues come and, all that kind of political, thing. So, yeah, but if you shoot someone or you attack someone who is in his or her social space, then you are guilty. Even if they are intimidating you or shouting at you or insulting you or whatever they are, but they are in social. Okay, and be like, anyways, I don't want to go to these intricacies, but social awareness is like become aware of your surroundings socially. Social means with people, a relationship with people, but you're observing what people do. And how you do what you do toward them, that's self-awareness. So sometimes, again, this third step will go hand in hand with the other two. You are self-aware, okay, that's what I do, but because they do such and such. So chicken first or the egg, whether they start and I reply, so I'm self-aware and I'm socially aware, or I'm self-aware but I'm not socially aware. And you cannot be socially aware while you're not self-aware. Somehow you have to be. Yeah. But when you do it consciously, you become very successful in your social relations. Very successful. That's why you find those CEOs, a company going down and the CEO comes and he flips and does everything. Same employees, same everything. But what did he do? He understood the customer base, the marketing, the advertisement, the social surroundings, and then, basically he does the magic. So the more you are socially aware, the better you are as a problem solver, as a leader, as a role model, as a mentor, as a coach, as a mother, as a father, as a husband, as a wife. Yeah. So when you are socially aware, social awareness. And then you have social development after that, at the end. The fourth component of this circle is social development. Like exactly what you did with yourself, you're going to do with the relationship with others. So now I know how I deal with people, and I'm developing on that. It's my self-awareness, self-development. And now I am aware of what people do, their actions, interactions, and reactions. So now I want to develop my relationship with everybody around me. And I'm going to be empathizing with them as well. It's not like I'm going to go fix the world. It doesn't mean like I understand, I'm socially aware. That means I'm going to develop my social surroundings. No, you will know how to deal with it and how you win them over. Like people would love somebody empathizing with them. Everybody, every one of us. Like if someone comes to you and they start complaining about things, I'm going to ask you sisters now, and this is a little bit for the next level of the social development, but let me ask you that because it will help you with awareness anyways. If one of the sisters in this class or someone comes and complain about her life, like let's say, I'm not going to talk about marital relations, but with her children or with her siblings, I'm struggling with my children and da 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 da. What would be your reaction? Like, how would you handle that? I'm asking a question.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Walaikum salam.
For me, I think just to start the conversation is sometimes people need a good listener. I mean, like they just just need somebody to listen. So maybe give a listening, just listen to what they have to say, and if and not get advice straight away, but just to say that we probably have our own problems too, to relate to them.
So this is called active listening and empathy. So you mentioned two, right? Who else? Anybody wants to add to that? Sisters, come on. Nobody? You can unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Could you repeat the question again? Sorry, I missed.
My question is, like, if a sister comes to you and start complaining about her relationship with her children, like, she's struggling with educating her children, relating to them, the teenage children, and I'm struggling and I'm frustrated and all this work at home, blah, 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 all these kind of things. So what are you going to do?
Personally, this is Fatima, I tend to shift conversation sometimes about the positive, and I listen to their complaint. I don't mind, but also I try to gear the conversation towards solutions. And it may be something that is not the correct way to do, but I like to be a bit optimist, so I gear towards optimism and toward rather than just complaints, but towards going in a path of fixing or trying to fix themselves without, not me, because I can't fix their problems, but towards thinking about solutions.
Okay. It's very good. But as we learn all the time, we have to have a structure. We have to have a structure in the way we think. What does come first? Because each one of you mentioned a step in the way that you handle it. But what is the first step? Active listening. You want to listen. But while you're listening, first we're going to go active listening, and then we're going to analyze the situation. Like, what is the main issue? We're going to identify what is the issue that they are complaining about. And not necessarily have a solution for it, but comes empathy, like you empathize with them. And then after that, you provide a solution or you provide support to find a solution. So let me repeat again. Step number one, you're going to listen. And it's called active listening. And I'll explain in a minute. Active listening. And then after that, you identify where's the problem while you are listening, because you are actively listening. You will never be able to identify the problem if you're not actively listening. And once you identify the problem, you're going to empathize with them. You're going to give them that genuine feeling that you understand exactly what they're talking about. Right? Not necessarily have a solution. That comes the fourth step, that offering or proffering a solution, and that has conditions as well. Or you said, you know what, I wish I can help, but I know somebody who can. Or, you know what, that's exactly what I have to. We'll just find out. Just show the support. Part of the solution is to show support. So those are the 4 stages. That's what you do. And you cannot do that if you're not socially aware, right? Because social awareness that we're talking about today is like when people start complaining, what do they do? Like, you know, I'll delay that question a little bit. I'll repeat it again. But let me tell you, active listening. Active listening simply is like you are thinking in their shoes. Like when they're talking, you're kind of like observing their feelings, you're observing their gestures, you're observing that the concern that they have, and you are actually care about what they say. Not becoming defensive, not becoming subjective, not becoming like, but this, but that, but you don't know why. You don't, like, now it's about you, it's not about them. So that's called active listening. Actively listening means you are hearing their voice, you are hearing their concern, you are feeling what is in their heart. You are like kind of, really, like that, you know, are like out there. They would automatically, when you are actively listening, they automatically will feel you are there with them. And that gives them actually calmness, like down there. It's a step before empathy. While you are listening, you say, oh, they keep repeating about the stress, about the chores, about the tasks at home. So that is the problem. I think that is the problem, because you are actively listening, so you are identifying now. They do not have a problem with the communication with the children. They have a problem with the stress and being overwhelmed with other things that causing this communication failure with the children. So we solve that, then, you know, we have good communication. But the kids love them and they love the kids. The kids are not rebellious. It's not an issue. While you listen to someone else and you find that they do not have all this stress, but the kids themselves are rebellious. Or you listen to a third person and you find that they cannot communicate properly. Maybe the kids speak English, but they don't speak the mother tongue of the parent, and the parent does not speak English very well. So that's where the issue. You understand? So basically, active listening helps you finding exactly where the issue is while they're talking, because you're not listening to your own voice, you are listening to their voice, their concern, their feeling, their complaint. Then you empathize. Empathy means you show them moral support. You know, I absolutely understand what you're saying. You know, this does not come as a surprise for me. We are all in the same boat. You know, this is something that you will continuously handle and you're able to, you know, that's called empathy. Empathy is like, instead of being the opposite, you stand on the side. That's why you'll find, for example, if you go to the doctor's office and they are going to tell you some diagnosis or some important thing, they move the chair closer to you and they come and lean over and talk. That's called empathy. Or sometimes when a person is sitting alone, you find somebody moving the chair and coming closer to them on their side. Being on the side of someone is like support. That even in mediation, sometimes it is needed that you put people opposite each other, and sometimes you make them sit beside each other. And sometimes you need to separate them from each other. So it's very important. That's why I tell husband and wife sometimes, like whenever they have an issue, just sit beside your spouse and talk. When you are beside them, it's not like you're opposite. But when you're opposite, your opinion versus my opinion, there's a clash there. Unless there is no problem, this is good, that they come closer and closer together in their intimate space. That's fine when there's no issue. But when there is an issue, avoid confrontation. They always come. We are in the same boat. Why are we fighting? We are like brothers, or we are like a teacher and a student, employer and employee. We are on the same team here. We are on the same team. That is called like being on the side of someone. That's called empathy. Then you can offer a solution if you can, and if you can't, you can say that let's find someone who is professional to talk. And I think we need to talk to a therapist, we need to talk to a sheikh, to talk to a doctor, you need to talk to a social worker, you need to talk to that other side that you have a problem with, and so on. Okay, so those are the stages where you need to understand whenever you are handling someone. But that's social development. That's the stage after. But social awareness is like you become aware of people's perspectives. So basically, social awareness, it is fairly simple. It is like your ability to consider the perspectives of other individuals, groups, and communities. To apply that understanding to interactions with them. That is social development at the end. So that apply, from the word apply onward, that's social development. Before that, you have an ability to consider, because sometimes you go in a meeting and it's my opinion. I'm going to impose my opinion on everybody. Parents do that all the time. That's how I'm going to do it. Husbands do that most of the time. That's what I'm going to do. Wives do that sometimes. That's what I want. That's what I get. Otherwise, I'm going to make everybody's life miserable. I'm not accusing your sisters, but I'm saying that that's from my experience. That's normally the case. When a person is self-centered, that's what they do. That's what they do. Whether they're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Most likely it happens in men because they are authority figures. So they abuse their authority. And it happens from women as a rebellion. Yeah. They do not want to appear weak. They do not want to appear oppressed. They translate everything as superiority, inferiority, and we'll go from there. And that's where everything goes downhill. Because when everybody's not self-aware, when you're self-aware, you're a woman, you're a wife, you're a Muslim, you are a female, you're what exactly you are. You're self-aware. And each one of those entails certain things. And when you are a man, you are a male, you are a human being, you are a Muslim, you're a father, you are a teacher, you are an instructor. So you have to be self-aware, like what each one of those entail. You answer yourself. Don't cheat yourself, and don't just take whatever people feed you for granted. No, just be honest with yourself. If you are honest with yourself, you are actually going to function better. And one of the main things, things will not always go the way you like. It's not going to happen like that. The most of the things in this world you dislike. Most of the ways that people act, you will dislike. Most of the time. It is not most of the time everything will go according to plan. No, that's not Jannah here. This is dunya. This is the world. So basically, your ability to understand why people doing what they're doing helps you. We are not justifying the wrong that people do, but you can understand that's expected. Like when I go to Egypt, the minute I land in Egypt, the airplane, I'm not now go at that moment when I exit the airplane. Or even when I'm in the airplane, because sometimes most of the people in the airplane are Egyptians, and even they live outside. The way they leave, the way they disembark is different from everybody else. It's my culture, right? So I know what they do. Before even the seatbelt sign goes off, everybody's standing and getting the luggage. The captain has to scream, the stewardess have to scream, everybody sit down. We have not reached that destination yet. So basically, I kind of like, I'm not going to say, oh, what kind of people are those? Like, in America, it's such and such, and I'm frustrated. Oh, people, No, I'm not going to do that. I'm in Egypt now. So I'm not justifying the wrong that they're doing, but what I'm going to do about it, my blood pressure goes high, what's going to change in their behavior? Nothing. So basically, I can talk to the person beside me. You know why, the plane can actually break or something can happen, someone fall, and please, just give a couple of minutes. So that is my area of impact. I can impact that person beside me, or that lady who stood up, and I can take the stuff from her and tell her, come sit down a little bit, it's better you have children with you and all. And that is my area of impact. I can change that, right? And that person, I hope that they're going to learn and listen in the future from that. But I cannot blame the world and the circumstances and curse and become unhappy and frustrated like that. Because, once you leave the plane, more frustration is going to hit you. People there, they want this and they want that, and you have a problem with the luggage, you have a problem with the people working at the airport, the people with the taxi outside, everybody like want to take money from you in this way or the other, and then we go over there and you're in a completely different culture. So if I'm not socially aware, it hits me hard. Yeah, I'm an American, but I'm not an American now. I'm in Egypt now. I understand the flaws of this culture, but it has lots of beautiful things, lots of good things that I miss over here. The warmth of the family, the generosity of the people, the welcoming spirit, people are concerned, you have a huge family, your circle of acquaintances, things you don't have over here. The food variety is beautiful, delicious. Yeah. Adhan is everywhere. You go pray, like you walk to the masjid from wherever you are in Egypt, wherever you are. Give me any spot, and there is a mosque with a walking distance. I guarantee you. Walking distance from like 2 seconds, 3 seconds to 5, 6 minutes walk. But you're going to find a masjid within that. Those things I miss. So I'm not going to compromise me enjoying that for the frustrations I have for what I'm missing. So in America, I'll enjoy what the American culture offer and be socially aware of like the things that the negative. So I'm going to deal with it. And that's how I adjust. But if I'm in Egypt, I'll do that. And wherever I travel, I become socially aware. I can tell you, like every airport I come in, the personality, when I landed in Paris, people deal different from Frankfurt and Berlin and Munich, in Germany. Like when I land in Jordan, is different from when I landed in Ireland. Completely different cultures, completely different things. I'm not going to wonder, say, why are they doing that? Blah, blah, blah. Why? Like, because now I have myself as the standard and my culture as the standard. And that's a problem. You're not the standard. This is point of reference, yes, but not the standard. American culture is not the standard. Me, I'm not the standard. No, we're not the standard, because the other person will feel the same, that they are the standard in Africa, or in people are taking bribes in one of the corrupted communities. They feel that they are the standard too. Like if you teach them about morality, you're the alien, you get out of here. If you don't like it here, why are you coming from America? Go to your America, So that's exactly what it is. Like the people here feel they are the standards, go back to your country, go back to the Middle East or whatever. That's entitlement and feeling that they are the standard, and that's the problem. You have a point of reference, meaning this is what I'm used to. That's my point of reference. Cleanliness of the streets and everything, that's a point of reference. I am used to that. But I know there are other models exist, whether they are good or bad, clean or dirty, it does not matter. But there are other models. What I'm going to do with it, this is exactly the idea. This is what I should think about. What am I going to do when I'm there? That's why people go like missionaries and all of that. They go choose the worst spots in the world to operate in. They want to change the environment. But first, they are self-aware. They develop themselves. They are socially aware, and they see what the people want. I'm not going to go to people who drink dirty water, and I'm going to go teach them about equality between men and women. I'm not going to do that. You know, this is like kind of like, what? What are you talking about? Just provide them with some clean water first. People have like, you know, diseases and problems because of health conditions there. You treat that. And that's why I said, like, that's why missionaries go in the name of religion and they provide people with that. Now, when they invite them to religion, they will just flock into it. Why? Because you were nice to them. The social awareness, like, you know, you do not just go and change things. No, you have to understand exactly what people want, and then you operate from there. So you have to have that ability to consider other perspectives. Consider doesn't mean you adopt them, but consider it is there. People think like that. You know, in here in the United States, like if you do not look into the eye of someone, that means you're planning something, or you're disrespecting them, or you're not caring about them. You don't look me in the eye when you're talking to me. Now, in certain cultures in the Middle East, if you do that, you know, it's interpreted as a predatory behavior, especially from, you know, opposite genders. Like if a man is staring at a woman when, you know, in the eye when he's talking to her, that means he's actually a predator. Like he's looking at her in a sexual manner. And if she looks at a man in his eye like that, that means also she's a woman without value, without morals. Yeah. You see, you have to consider that perspective. Okay? And here, the child becomes 18 and they are like kind of like have to go out. If you go in traditional Japan, for example, if you do that, you are casted out of the family. You're casting yourself out of the family. Actually, people used to commit hirakari. Hirakari is like when a person stabs himself and cut, you know, his stomach as an honor suicide because he's casted out of the family. You know, they have two swords. The samurai have two swords. One sword is like to fight the enemies, and the small sword to kill themselves for honor, you know, if they disgrace their family or their clan. Okay, so basically you have to consider those perspectives. Like, you know, there are perspectives. You have a point of reference, but you are not the reference. You are not the standard. And you have to do that with individuals, with groups, and with communities. Like, you know, I'm at the Masjid Salam, I'm the Imam, yes. But I have one community which is called the community of Masjid Salam. But within that community, there are sub-communities and sub-cultures. I have to be aware of those, otherwise I cannot function as the leader. And I have to be aware. When I'm talking to a brother or a sister from, you know, everybody's American, but I'm talking about from culture here, like their first generation. They're coming from Asia is different from people who are coming from the far east. People who are coming, like, you know, Pakistan, India, different from people who are coming from Malaysia, Indonesia, different from people who are coming from like Vietnam and China and all of that. And people who are coming from Africa, North Africa, they are different from the people who are coming from the Mediterranean. Okay, people coming from, like, you know, South, you know, the African countries, different from people who are coming from the West Africa. People, everybody have a culture. So you have to be socially aware of how to talk to each one of them. Some cultures, their elders, like they deal with them in a sacred manner. Like if you want to solve any problems, you go to the elder of that community and the problem is solved. While other communities, like people who are converts, for example, or Americans, you have to talk to the individual, because if you talk to someone else, it's a kind of an insult. But when you talk to certain cultures, you find who's the elder or the most respected among that community, and they're going to help you solve the problem instantly. Sometimes you talk to the woman, and the woman is the most respected among that community, and they're going to help you solve the problem instantly. Sometimes you talk to the man, and the man is the most respected among that community, and they're going to help you solve the problem instantly. Sometimes you talk to the woman, and the older woman in the family. There's some matriarchal traditions. They respect the mother, the elder. Some even cultures, the husband, it's not weakness, but the husband have more value for the wife. His wife is more value. He doesn't know much. He just go work and do other things that man does in their culture, but the woman is the one who's raising the kids and doing everything. There are cultures like that. It's nothing haram or shameful or anything like that. There are cultures where matriarchal like that. So the women are the one who manage all the affairs. So if there is an issue with the family, you talk to the woman, and she'll give you the perspective, and you can give her the advice, and things will go well. Well, other cultures are patriarchal, mostly human race. So that's how it works. So that's called social awareness. Okay, so groups and communities, and you have to apply that in understanding to interact, with them. Social awareness starts, by the way, when young age. Kids, when they're young, they become socially aware. Even when they're crawling and everything, they become socially aware of what happens and who's this person. They run to their mom, they run to their dad, they know their siblings, the older one, the younger one they fight with, and they're socially aware. Right? I'm not saying that they're doing it consciously, but they become socially aware. Like in the animal kingdom, you can what's your surroundings, and when you grow, it grows with you. But there comes a time that you reach plateau, like you do not develop on it. And you will not become aware because you become self-centered. You become thinking about yourself. And the culture that we are in now is a very selfish, self-centered culture, individualistic culture, materialistic culture, and it's not helping your social awareness. The only thing that people are aware of, how can I benefit from the people around me? So now that's not social awareness. That's not even self-awareness. No, it is selfishness. Like they want their desire fulfilled. That's it. And Allah Azza wa Jal called those people in the Quran that they are blind. أرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه وأضله الله على علم وختم على سمعه وقلبه جعل على بصره غشاوة. Allah Azza wa Jal said, do you see, or Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, do you see those who took their desire as their God? Their desire is their God, means what is the highest authority or the highest entity that gives you directions on what you need to do? Is it Allah? Is it your God? Is it your religion? Is it your business? Is it your desire? So if it is your desire is judging the directions where you need to go, that is the worst of the worst. Worse than animals. Because Allah gives them that instinct to serve their existence. But Allah gave us a brain to serve our existence, and He told us that brain has to be in accordance to the revelation of Allah and the teaching of His Prophet. So that's how it is. If you abandon that and take your desire, that's what I want. I want money, that's what I'm going to get it, halal or haram or whatever. I want this, and I'm going to get that. So the desire, Allah Azza wa Jalla said that when they do that, they take their desire as their God, Allah Azza wa Jalla seals on their heart and their ears. Why the heart and ears? Because ears, you're not going to listen to any advice. You're not listening to anybody's voice. You're listening to your voice, even when you're listening to people's voices, because it is matching with your voice. Other than that, you don't want to listen. Like that's why you say, you know what? I don't want to listen. I make a decision. I don't want to listen. That's it. So, or you're listening and say, thank you, but I'm doing this. They're not even processing it. So Allah said, Allah seals on their ears, and their hearts means nothing will get to their heart. Even when they hear that advice, it doesn't get to their heart. Heart is the processor. So if nothing comes to the processor, no good decisions will come out. And then Allah make a seal on their eyes as well. They don't see the truth. They just see what they want to see. Who is going to guide them other than Allah? Nobody. So if they open up to Allah, then they will be guided. Open your ears and your eyes to the way of Allah, and you will be guided. Your heart will be guided. وَمَنْ يُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. Whoever believes in Allah, Allah will guide their hearts. That's what Quran says. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said Allah and his Prophet have to be the dearest to you than anything in this world, literally speaking. That's social awareness. You know exactly everything within the framework that Allah Azza wa Jalla provided you. So, what are the benefits of social awareness? It will help you with your relationships, it will help you in your workplace, it will help you with the larger community, it will help you with your relationships, immediate relationship, with your intimate, close family, right? It will help you with the larger family, with your culture, your own culture, with the community around you, with the larger community, with the human race. Even when you go to a culture that you're not familiar with, you already have the guidelines. You become aware of this because there are certain things you're looking at. When I go to any airport, that the first time I go to, I observe certain things. I observe how people sell and buy because I'm going to buy stuff. I'm going to buy food. I observe how people sit and eat. Of course, in the airport there are people from all over the world, but you see the vendors, providers, the people in the duty free. You see from the officers in the airport, the security. You see the people who are handling the luggage. You see all of these things. You see different things. There is a spirit of that. And once you get out of the airport is a small sample. Sometimes the airport have standards all over the world. Once you get outside in the street, you see the taxi drivers, how they do things. You go there, you see the restaurants, how people eat, you observe. You do not go there with your own preconceived things. That's what I want to see. When you don't see it, you get shocked. You're frustrated, you're not happy. No, you be aware, like you go and it's, when you booked in the hotel, they show you a fancy picture and everything. But when you go there, you find that the hotel is not as clean as you think. You go to the room and you find that they give you a manual key to open, and you find the fridge is not working. Or it says a 5-star hotel. What's going on? So you have to be ready for it. I'm not saying be satisfied with it. I'm not saying don't complain, but I'm saying that that's social awareness. Like I'm not in America. I'm not like there. So this is how they. And when you go complain, they kind of look at you as like, this is our 5-star, man. What's going on? So it's kind of like that. So basically, you have to be aware. I was in Egypt to go do some paperwork in the government, and you go there, and I know that it's going to take 4 or 5 hours, even though the actual step takes 2 minutes. Like you need to go sit in front of someone, do the fingerprints, and then they will print you the report. How long does it take? 2 minutes. No exaggeration. I swear, 2 minutes exactly. I looked at the watch. Like my wife is doing that. It's 2 minutes exactly. But there is a culture behind that. Why is 4 or 5 hours? Like why is that? So you got to go there and reserve the spot. What do you mean by reserving the spot? The office opens from 8 to 3 p.m. But guess what? People went there 4 a.m. Why? Because they wanted to start at 8 a.m. That's a culture now. There's no online reserving or anything like that. It's first come, first serve. Okay, you go there 8 o'clock, you are in the beginning of the line. That's what we think, American way. But remember the Black Friday. What happened Black Friday? If you remember when there was Black Friday before the internet and all that, people actually go there at night. And the line starts at 12 a.m. for the 8 a.m. thing. Why? Because everybody wants to to be the first one who get in. Now it's only one person who's the first one. It's not like 100 people. But at that, people start going earlier and earlier until they are like there 5-6 hours before. And they form a line. What if they don't form a line? Like, they develop, it's funny, they develop the system among themselves that, you know, whoever goes there first, the first person who went there, like say 3 a.m., he is going to create a list. So he would write a list, a piece of paper, and he would write his name first. Then when the next person comes, his name. When the next person comes, his name. When the next person comes, his name. And when the office opened at 8 o'clock, they handed the employee the list, and the employees start calling the name. Why don't you do that at 8 a.m.? Like, I'm like, why? Like, really? Like, why don't you do that at 8 a.m.? Like, you know, go 8 a.m. and the first person shows up at 8 a.m., write everybody's name under that, and from 8 to 3, you know, pick a number. Or have that thing and just pick a number. Just saying, like, but yeah, you have to be socially aware, you know. What are you going to do about it? Shout until Yawm al-Qiyamah. You're still not going to get in. And those people are before you, sitting there and looking at you and laughing. You're jumping up and down, this American person, you know. So that's what happens. So you go there because you did not stay all night long. You have like 100 people in front of you. And then you have to sit and wait until all of them finish. And you go there, and it's 2 minutes only. And then there is another problem after the 2 minutes. Once to give that to you, they created, this is the red tab now, they created an extra step that you have to go to another window that somebody has to stamp it. Stamp it over there, man. Like, you know, why the stamp is not beside you? Who gave me the paper? Why that guy has to sit outside there? Why you have to create another step, another line? I think I don't know. You don't have an answer, but you become socially aware. I'm telling you that, and I'm like laughing now, but this is a culture. You have to consider their perspective. They have a perspective. And I'm sure if you ask them, they will tell you. It might be silly, it might be nonsense, but they have a perspective. So inshallah, we'll continue talking about social awareness more this month, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, and may Allah reward you all for listening. Wassalamu alaikum.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakumullah khair.
Wa jazakum.